Hello, everyone. Welcome to Skills Pay Bills number 87. We have a very special episode for you today. It's going to be a Claudia solo episode, but not only a Claudia solo episode, a Claudia audio only solo episode. So, we're always trying to throw curveballs and do things that'll keep you on your toes. So, without further ado, here's Claudia. I'll be leaving the sewing studio, and Claudia will be all alone. Here you go.
What's up, peeps? See you later, Manny.
Later. Wait for the door to slam. That's how you know I'm gone.
All right. So I am Claudia. If you didn't get the intro, and I'm in my sewing studio. It is an awesome day. Yesterday was my first day at arts, which is a reason to survive, and I'm actually teaching a 10-week, a twice a week curriculum there. And yesterday was my first day, and I'm so excited because it was such an amazing experience. I really realized that the engagement and the amount of attention that these kids were putting into the class was just, I've never seen something like that. Usually, when I do go and teach at a school for a workshop or something like that, it's usually because the teacher really wants it and the kids they're not the ones that sign up for it. And so this class was different because all of these kids sign up to learn how to sew. So it was an awesome experience because they were all very interested and intrigued, and they their eyes lit up every time we talked about what they wanted to design and what they wanted to create and all those kind of things. And so for me, it was amazing. I had a great time with them. I have 18 students right now. I think one of the things that I've noticed, especially when building out like a curriculum like this, is the amount of funding that goes into it, in the standpoint of like maybe the organization, me as like an instructor. And so one of the things that we are lacking is more sewing machines. And it is, we're making it work right now. And we've divided it into groups, and everyone's doing great, and everyone's gotten a chance to have an introduction to the sewing machine. And there is people that you can tell that they're already naturals at it and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm really excited about it because I feel like sewing is, I say it all the time, sewing is a great skill. Everyone should learn how to sew. But it's also one of those things where it gives you so much self-worth. And I feel that at that age of like being in high school and like, still trying to figure out who you are and, all that, it could be a very heavy time for any kind of adolescent that's, going through their own personal stuff. And so for me, like, I really enjoy it because I get to, be a teacher, which I always wanted to be a teacher. But it also allows for me to be in a space where I get to encourage someone's creativity and something that I love. And so I'm basically on cloud 9 with that. And then today I am heading to High Tech High in Chula Vista, and I start another program with them. And so I'm really excited about it because again, it's one of those things where, you get to basically show kids something that you do for a living that is, I feel, my job or life is very fun, and one of those things where it's like, I get to do this for work. And so I never imagined being able to do something like this for work. Especially like teaching or doing anything like that. And especially in a creative kind of like realm, because I always tell people that it is, it's really important for there to be representation in creatives, like brown creatives in like the art world. And so being able to basically be that kind of representation to, kids in like the South Bay, that they could also, have this, they could also be creatives, and it could be something that they do for work, or it could just be something that they do just for fun. So I'm really, really having a good time with that, because I think I've, I think that what really is fueling like my passion with um, like teaching and doing all that kind of stuff, especially within the youth, is um, I know I talk about it a lot, but I was an at-risk youth, and I really would have benefited from things like this. Like I really would have benefited from, like a program like arts, um, and I feel it's just really important to be able to, heal our, like inner child, inner teenager, all that kind of stuff, while also like being like of service to like others, and being just there, being like a person that is validating them when they do good, but also validating them when they're also having things that they're going through, and they're teenagers. So one of the things that that will probably end up happening is they're gonna have a lot of really cool ideas, and they might not understand how to express it in the kind of way. So I'm here to help them, you know, um, sketch it out, put it in this really cool notebook that they received yesterday, and create something really awesome. So I'm really excited. So that's for 10 weeks. So um, we got, um, you know, some time still left, but I'm really excited. But there's also other things that I really want to talk about. And I get this question um, pretty often, and um, people always ask me, "Oh, you're so busy. How do you do all this stuff?" You know, and it's really sometimes I think about it, and I'm like, "Am I that busy?" And um, yes, I'm busy. And I like to stay busy because you know, um, it's just things that I like to always have in motion. And I like to constantly have projects that I look forward to. I like collaborating with other people. I like you know um, having a vision and building it out and doing all that kind of stuff. So I really enjoy all of that. I enjoy being busy. Like I really do enjoy that. And the cool thing about it is that, like, obviously I can't do it by myself. So everyone always asks, how do you do it? All that kind of stuff, especially because I do have a preteen, or at least it feels like she's a teen now. And it's really difficult because, you want to be able to like run a business, and have drops every week, but you also have to be mindful of all the other things that you have going on, like projects that need to be fulfilled, you know, collaborations that you've been working on with someone else, planning for another project, planning for, we have a basically an installation that we're going to have to, that we're doing at the airport. And then we also have a fashion show that's coming up in December. So there's a lot of stuff that's happening. And, I feel that obviously, like, if you think about it in like the sense where it's like, I have this going on and that going on and all these things going on. And it kind of really becomes like this overwhelming thing of like, there's so much to do and that you don't know where to start. I just think about like, where can I actually start? Like, what are the things that I could actually do, that I could actually get started to actually like build momentum to continue to keep going? Because if you think about it, or if you look at it in the kind of way where you're like, wow, that's a lot, that's a big mountain to climb, right? I'm not a hiker or anything like that. But if someone took me on a hike and said, we're going to climb this mountain, I would be like, yeah, no, I'm going to hang out here. But it is one of those things where it's like you have to be able to, in a way, like, do one day at a time, one week at a time, all that kind of stuff. But you also have to be able to make sure that, you have someone that's going to be able to, like, also, like, meet you. I wouldn't say like halfway, but that also understands that they also play this huge role, right? In like making sure that everything also gets done. And for me, that's Manny, because it's like he is basically the person that is like helping with all that kind of stuff. And we've been doing it together for some time now, and it's always been like a very interesting kind of thing, where it's like he, when he was working at, like a 9 to 5 and all that kind of stuff, his schedule would constantly change, and his schedule would constantly change, and my schedule didn't change because at the time I had like these basically like set hours, and I believe this was maybe like 4 years ago, and you know I was seeing clients from like 11 to like 6 o'clock, and so my schedule wouldn't change, and so I had like a quote unquote lunch break to go and pick up my daughter, all that kind of stuff, and then I would have to like rush back, and so his schedule would sometimes change. Sometimes he would have like this day off, and then it would automatically like just change to like another random day off, and or his he couldn't work, he wasn't working in the morning, and now he was working in the evening, and and so there was like these constant schedule changes, and they kind of would like always like throw me off because I would then have to like obviously like adjust, and and I feel like we've always kind of done that. We've always kind of the schedule changes a little bit, and especially we always are super mindful that we have a daughter, and so really like modifying the schedule to where it's like, hey, we have to pick her up from this time, we have to drop her off at this time, and all those kind of things, because you know um she's our responsibility, and that's what we got to do. But it is one of those things where it's like it's very interesting to basically to work with your partner that you're romantically involved with, and especially like running in like any kind of business, or having any kind of like vision for a project that you want, that you have in mind or anything like that, because this is like someone that you like respect in so many different kind of like ways, but it's also one of those things where it's like you want to like almost feel like that person is not going to say no because they like you that much, and it's kind of like, hey, you won't say no, right? But it is one of those things where it's like I feel like Manny's great because he'll always say it how it is. He like never sugarcoats it. He never does any of that kind of stuff. And so for me, I'm always like, I know he's not going to stray me in a direction that's not going to be beneficial for like our family, because obviously like this is this business, this everything that we do is basically for our family, so I know that he's obviously like invested in that because he's not trying to make you know horrible decisions or doing any of that kind of stuff. So I really respect that. Sometimes it's something that I don't want to hear, which at the same time, obviously being like a human, ego gets in the way, and you're just kind of like, how dare you not trust my vision, or how dare you not, X, Y, and Z. But it is one of those things where it's like I've never came across someone that was going to be genuinely honest with me about certain things, and so I really appreciate that he does that, and he does it to where it's like it always ends up turning out really great. So he's one of the main reasons why Um, I'm all over the place, or how people say I'm blowing up on Instagram. That's a little cringy. Um, but because he helps with all that kind of stuff, you know? And so it's like I'm not a one man show or anything like that. It's like it really does take a team. And when I mean it takes a team, it's like everyone in the household pitches in, you know? And it only makes sense for everyone to pitch in and to do all that kind of stuff because, um, you know, that's how we do it. That's how we run our household, and you know, we really want to make sure that everyone feels like validated and seen and all that kind of stuff. So, um, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, it's hard to, you know, um, to I guess try to get all the things done that you should be getting done within like the day, you know. And I remember there was this conversation comes up a lot because I was at the at like the main gay. They had like this really cool conversation about you know, mental health for artists and entrepreneurs and all that kind of stuff. But there was also like a someone there that was speaking on like financial literacy, and I was like, it was like such an impulsive thing for me to be like, I'm gonna go tomorrow, and I usually don't do that kind of stuff where I'm like, I'm gonna do this and like just really like go to like this thing that like an event that is for some reason it like really like called me. And so I invited like a couple of my friends, and I was like, oh, this seems like a very interesting thing. And one of the things that I read as soon as I got there, because it was like this projector, it was like, how do you deal with like a list that is never ending? And that's true. Like, I feel like my list of like to do is never ending, you know? And, you know, it's hard to have a list that never ends, but it's also one of those things where it's like, it really isn't supposed to end though, because um like we're constantly like living, right? And we're constantly evolving, and we're constantly like, you know, especially as creatives, like you're constantly have like these ideas. And you know, and for me, like I always write all this stuff down. Like, you know, I have like a book, and I write everything down. Like, okay, today I did this. Today, tomorrow I have to do this, and I'm gonna do that, and all that kind of stuff. And so it really helps me, um, or get organized and have like one space where I could go back and look at everything, and it's gonna be there, and I don't have to worry about if I have it in this other place or this place or all that. And so, for me, like I felt like that's always really worked for me, is to be able to write it down. Um, and I feel like, you know, that list, that like the fact that it never ends, it's probably, um, I don't know, you got to look at it in like a perspective kind of way, right? Where it's like, I only do like lists like in the beginning of the week, right? And then I'll be like, okay, the week is done, new list. And so it's like you get to have like a new list. But it's like if you're just have this gigantic long list of all these things that you have to continue to add on, it's going to feel very overwhelming, you know? So it's like for me, it's like just, you know, do something for like the week, and then start like another list in the next week, you know. And that's what I do, and I feel like that really like helps me to not feel like I have like a million things to do that I'm not going to be able to like complete, you know. But I'll be completely honest with you, like I have um basically 4 jackets that I have to do for the San Diego airport. And then I also have a fashion show that I'm that I really want to do in the beginning of December, and so I'm really excited about that. But I also know that um, I have to be extremely um, mindful of like time management, and like, you know, my availability, and you know, just kind of like, you know, also like giving myself like that time to basically be like, I don't want to do anything today, and I don't want to talk to anyone today. And I don't want to like just do anything. And so I'm really mindful of like, you know, like chingarle like super, super freaking hard, because it's like, I feel like that's always been like a survival mechanism for me. But also at the same time, like to take like a day to just kind of like not do anything and not have any expectations for myself or anything like that. And so I'm looking forward to these next few weeks because I'm excited. We're getting ready to transition into like fall and what that's going to look like and all that. So I'm really excited about that. But I'm also really excited about all the new stuff that's like happening in the studio because I feel like, there's so many cool things that happen in the studio. Like we have like embroidery night, but we also have this idea. We've been thinking about this idea for some time, and I've really have been wanting to offer like a group sewing class, like where it's like four people basically show up and you cut and you sew your project within like, 2 hours. And I've been really wanting to like bring that into life. And I feel like finally, like we're at that point where we're like, all right, finally we could do that. Finally, we could, offer that. And what is that going to look like? And how are these, all these kind of things that people usually, you have to think a million steps ahead. We finally, especially with doing curriculum at different schools, it's really, it's been a lot of learning lessons. And so being able to implement something like that for our studio is like something that I'm really, really excited about because, it's something that we've had a conversation about where, me and Manny, we usually like will have like some outside time where it's like we sit outside and, we just talk about, random stuff, or he'll be, outside and we'll kind of, something will spark something and we'll be like, oh my God, so what about this and what about that? And so it's like, it's really beautiful to basically be able to have like a partner that you could just grow ideas with. And so, um, we've been really like thinking about that and we are really excited because we're going to basically offer our 4-person sewing class like pretty soon. So I believe it's going to be this next coming month, which will be in October. And it's going to be a limited thing of like 4 people. They get to come in and you'll basically be able to like start and finish the project that we have. And you'll leave with something that you made, which I think is extremely rewarding. And it helps in so many levels to be able to give yourself that much self-worth. So I'm really excited about that because it's like, I think we've been talking about it since like the spring. And so I'm like, we have to, some kind of way, like pivot, right? To notice certain things. And you're like, ooh, this would be like a fun kind of thing for us to do during this time. And so we're really excited to offer like our sewing lessons and stuff like that for 4 people. So um, keep an eye out for that because it's going to be a lot of fun. And you could be one of the people that comes and sews. So I'm excited for that. But I'm also really excited about, I'm working on this drop this week. I feel like it's like a collaboration between like, a few people. And so one of our friends had a good amount of shirts that were like Pro Club white shirts. And, Pro Club is like a really nice, like thick shirt. And so he basically was like, you could have all these white shirts. I'm not going to wear them anymore. And I was like, ooh, a white shirt is obviously like blank canvas. And so I feel like there was like about like 20 shirts. And our friend Weddle was like, hey, just here are the shirts. I know that you recycle all kinds of stuff. You could turn it into something cool. And so then Manny basically dyed the shirts, and then he bleached the shirts, and then now they have like these really really cool colors. And then I got a hold of them, and then I cropped the shirts and then added a bunch of patches to them. And so the unique thing about the shirts is that they're all size large, because it was one person that was wearing them, so it's not going to be like a variety of different sizes or anything like that. But it was one size, and obviously all of you guys aren't a large, you know. So what I did is I sized some of them down, so we now have small, medium, and large. Um, and we have like 20 shirts. And so I'm really excited about it, because it's like I started working on them yesterday. I actually started working on them this past weekend, because sometimes when the studio's slow, I like to get into like repetitive um, kind of like movement. So it's like, oh, I get to work on like 20 shirts, and it's like all like same kind of motion, same kind of motion. Like I could get really like stuck in that, and I enjoy being in that kind of like very repetitive kind of thing. And so I've been working on those, and I'm really excited. They look great. There's 4 different colors, and they all look totally different. There's all kinds of really cool patches, all that kind of stuff. And so I'm excited for you guys to see those. Those are going to drop on Friday. Um, and so I'm excited for that, because it's like, as much as I like really enjoy teaching and doing all that kind of stuff, um, I really enjoy just sewing. And I enjoy sewing because it's a very meditative kind of thing. And I feel like it really gives me like that sense of like, wow, like I did that. And it's that sense of pride. And you know and like for me, it's like all the stuff that I make is like really like something that I like and that I would want to wear and all that kind of stuff. And so it just, it's really healing to basically be like, oh, I could, you know the young version of me would have wanted this, and it would have been something at like the mall, or that you couldn't afford, and like now you could make it. And so that's the awesome thing about being able to sew and do all that kind of stuff, that you're able to make something for yourself that you could take time on, and that you could pick the fabric, and you could do all that kind of stuff. And so it's just an awesome skill. So we got that going on. And then we're really excited because we got an email yesterday. We had applied to go to one of the markets in San Fernando. So San Fernando, which is my hometown, which is in the San Fernando Valley, it's a really cool place. It's like an outdoor mall, right? And so if you're here in San Diego, it basically looks like Third Ave in Chula Vista. So that's the kind of like mall we have back in like San Fernando. So I believe it's every month, they basically have like a market. They have lowriders and they have food, and it's a really good turnout all the time. And I feel like every time I get to go and visit my family and all that kind of stuff, the neighborhood there is getting developed and all that stuff is like happening. I'm really excited because we'll be selling at the San Fernando Outdoor Market, which it's kind of a little surreal because I was like my mom would let me ride my bike through there when I was like a kid. And so it's very surreal to basically go back and basically like sell as like a as an adult that has like a business now. So it's one of those things where it's like, whoa, like this is a big deal for me, because you get to go back and you get to see like your friends. And like my mom lives like seriously like 5 minutes like walking distance from like where the Stanford on the Mall is. And so all my family's there, all my cousins are there. You almost feel like you're having a homecoming. And I'm really excited about it because it's almost like bridging like San Diego in and like LA together and basically like putting them in like one space, which is nice, you know. But I'm really looking forward to that. We're going to be out there on the 23rd, which is a Saturday. And it's a really cool market. You could check it out. They're on Instagram. But there's other stuff that's happening in the sewing studio. This Friday is our embroidery night. It is a lot of fun. This embroidery night is on Friday, the 15th, and it's from 6 to 8. And you get tickets on our website. There's tickets available there. And it's always a really fun night. And then I'm not just saying it because it's like you get to hang out with me, but it's because you just really get into the zone, and it becomes like something where you're like, oh wow, like you have to give yourself a chance to basically be a beginner at something. Like that is like the most like freeing kind of experience, to basically be like, all right, I might suck at this, and that's totally fine. But it takes a lot of courage for you to like want to learn something new, and for you to like actually like show up to a place that like no one knows you and you don't know anyone. And like there's something beautiful about that, because it's like you're almost in a way like kind of like forced to get to know other people there, but at the same time it's like obviously you get to set those boundaries. So it's like if you don't really want to get to know anyone there, that's totally fine. But it is a lot of fun, and a lot of people just kind of like show up. And sometimes, you know, we have like groups of people that show up, and as soon as everyone like understands like how to start like their embroidery project or anything like that, then you just, you know, you just hear the whole space just, there's like a chit chatter over here, there's a chit chatter over there. And so it's, I feel like it's embroidery is like the modern day like sewing circle. Like it really allows for people to basically focus on that project that they're working on, and they're so relaxed doing it that that's where they start to kind of like really open up. And you know, they'll be like, oh well, I like this, and what do you do, what blah blah, you know, all the basic conversations and stuff like that. And so I feel like it's a great like place to obviously like meet new people, but also people that are like interested in doing the stuff that you're interested in, you know. And I know that it's very difficult as adults to like to, how do you make friends as an adult? And I say embroidery night, because you're gonna like meet really cool people. And you're gonna like, the bonus is that obviously you're gonna come, you're gonna do embroidery, then you're gonna meet really cool people, and then you're gonna be, you know, you're gonna have this new addiction of like embroidery. And I just think it's like such a fun time, and people really like get into it. And the cool thing is that people will always like send us pictures of like their finished product, and I'm always like, that is so freaking cool. Like I'm glad that, you know, people are really having a good time with that. But our thoughts for upcoming embroidery is being able to like embroider on, you know, like a pair of jeans, a pair of shorts, you know, maybe like a denim jacket, things like that, where it's like it's a little bit more, you know, an item that you already have that you could just basically continue to add on to it. So I'm really excited to kind of build something off of that, and like what that would look like. And you know, because all of these workshops, they're all for beginners. And so we just we want for you to get a taste of what embroidery is, because we know that you're going to be addicted to it. So this is just kind of like getting you in the door, and once you're in the door, you're like, oh my god, embroidery is like so much fun. And I'm always like, I know. But I'm excited for it, because as much as I don't like to say this, I will say it. It gives me a reason to clean the studio for you guys. And then the studio looks really cool. And, you know, people just, I feel like there is something about like walking into someone's studio and being able to see like where things are being made. And, the person that like makes them. And I think that there's always something, like, I like things like that. And so I'm sure that there's other people that they're like, wow, this is where X, Y, and Z is made. So I'm excited for that. I'm also really excited for like the airport installation because it's a huge deal. I was like one of like 16 people that got like picked as one of the artists to basically showcase my work there. And so I'm really proud of myself. And I know some of you guys got a little hint of like, are you really proud of yourself once you just said that? I am proud of myself. I know it's hard to say it, but I am, I am proud of myself. And, I know that I have worked really hard to, do all these things. And things aren't just given to me because I'm a nice person. I actually like really work really hard and have made a lot of like sacrifices. And, you know, um, have gave up a lot of time to basically put into my craft. And I'm really happy that people are, that they could appreciate it, and that they're actually like seeing it as like a work of art. And I think that that's important for us to do that, right? Because I always tell like my friends, I'm like, what is the title that you always want to, you have to give yourself your own title, like no one's going to automatically just give you like this title, And so for me, like, I know that like I had struggled for a really long time to basically refer to myself as like an artist or anything like that. As an artist or as a designer, um, because um, I really don't think that I'm a designer in the way that like you're looking at like a traditional designer. I think I'm a little bit more than a designer because it's like I basically design and make everything. And so this is just like a totally like new thing, right? Before there was basically the designer that like designs everything, they sketch everything out, they do all that kind of stuff. And then they send it out to someone else. And that someone else then creates the product. And so now they cut it and they sew it. And so I don't have any of those people. I basically do everything myself. And it's new. It's a new thing that like now there's a lot of people that they're doing like cut and sew, and it's awesome because we're basically like going against all of the stuff. We're going against like fast fashion. We're going against like we're basically like we don't need a middleman. We don't need like a factory to like produce our things. We don't need any of that kind of stuff. We're basically doing it all ourselves. And you know we appreciate all the support that people are like that they've always like supported and done all that kind of stuff. So it's amazing for people to like try to understand a concept that is so new, you know? And I thank you guys for that because it's hard to um try to explain it to people when they come into the studio and they're like, "Can you fix my pants?" And you're like, "No." And so I guess understanding the concept, right, of like, what you do, because I feel like it's kind of hard, right? Because it's like people that sew, like if you sew and you like, you could make like stuff start to finish. I don't care if it's like the most smallest thing or like the most insane thing. You're fucking talented as fuck. Like serious shit. You're able to basically engineer a product inside out because it's like when you sew, you're sewing inside out. So it's like you have to think so many steps ahead to basically be able to be like, okay, if I'm going to make this shirt And the shirt is going to be this fabric. You have to cut the fabric. You have to then sew the fabric inside out. And then once you're done, you're going to have to like make sure everything's like nice and crisp, iron it, take off all the threads, all that kind of stuff. All right. So you're like, that's already amazing. But it's like they're creating something from start to finish, and you're asking them to fix your pants. Like, it's like you're asking, like, I don't know, it's difficult because it's like, just because you have a sewing machine, it doesn't mean that you do that kind of work, you know? So it's like, I feel like I said, the cut and sew is like so new. People don't understand like the concept behind it. The people that do, thank you for that. But it's like there's still a lot of people that they're just kind of like, so I understand that you made all of these amazing like jackets in the studio, and you're like, yeah, and you're like, I'm there sitting and I'm like proudly shaking my head like, yeah, I made all this stuff. And they're like, do you also do alterations? And you're like, why, if you saw all this amazing work, why would you think that I would sit down and tailor clothes? That's a genuine question. Why? If you thought that someone could do all of that, why would you think like that they would want to sit there and do the most mediocre job in the world when they could do all of that? Do you ask a painter that paints amazing murals to come and paint your house all white? No. So it's kind of like it's a little it's kind of like educating people, right? Where it's like, I think that was like a moment where everyone was like, who do you tip and who do you not tip and who do you, this and that. And then you're like, and so it's like people, it's like this is like knowledge that like everyone should know, right? And so it's like for me, like I have friends and I will tell those friends, hey, like because they'll tell me, oh, I have like these pants or whatever, and they're my friends, so I will be like, I will, I could gladly fix those for you because I understand how much money they're going to charge you to fix those pants. And so for me, I have offered my friends like, hey, you know what? I could totally do that for you. That's not like a problem. Like I'll do it for you because you're my friend. But it's like I don't open it up to everyone or things like that. So that was my rant because I think that that's as as negative as I'm going to get with that because people always ask that. And I'm just kind of like, you know, and it's hard, right? Because it's like you want to, you know, I don't know. I think I've for a really long time, especially like when I was like doing custom sewing and tailoring and all that kind of stuff. I did that for 7 years. And I had a really good time. Like I had a great time doing it, and I liked working with different body types and all that kind of stuff, and I really enjoyed it for that reason of like making every body shape look good in clothes. I enjoyed it for that reason. Um but I think my experience was that people there was people that didn't appreciate it as much as other people, and now I'm in a space of basically being like, oh, I don't enjoy doing that anymore. I enjoy basically being like, what do I want to make today? And then it's like, you're just kind of like, I get to draw whatever I want kind of like mentality, even though I don't draw. But, it does give you like that kind of like sense of like, well, I enjoyed it for that time, and it served me a purpose during that time because during that time I needed that, you know, um, I needed basically that kind of, um, you know, um, why am I blanking out on this word? I needed that experience to basically be where I am now, and so um that's like the that's where we are now, where it's like it's it's one of those kind of things where, I'm excited that I get to have my artwork um in the museum. I mean the airport. Um and so I'm really excited about that because the airport is such a freaking awesome place, and it's gonna be up for 2024 to 2025 for World Design Capital, and um, I'm really excited about World Design Capital because I don't think I've ever talked about this, but um, there was um, a meeting that happened to where we were basically trying to uh, pers- basically try to pitch that San Diego was going to be the best option for World Design Capital. And so they brought me in as like a textile artist to basically pitch why San Diego was awesome. And so um, it was nerve wracking. Because they were like, "All right, you got 2 minutes and go." And so especially with things like that, like I prepare like the night before, and then I prepare, maybe like an hour before, just to kind of like, you know, like just have like an easy flow of what I'm gonna say, and like just remember what I'm gonna say, all that kind of stuff. And Manny's really good with like helping me with that kind of stuff, because he's like, hey, if you're gonna have this platform, what is it that you want to say? And so I think that that's very important to remember when you are speaking anywhere, is that you're gonna have this platform. So what do you want to say? Like, what do you want to, what do you want to say? Even like a platform like Instagram, like what do you want to say? Like how do you want to come across? All those kind of things. It's important, right? And so we're there at like this beautiful space in La Jolla, and where there's all these amazing people, and they all have like some kind of um, like PowerPoint presentation, and like it's like, they're talking about like all the great things that they do as like artists and stuff like that. And so they invited me as a designer, textile artist, all that kind of stuff, to talk about that world. And I remember just kind of basically being like, oh my God. Like I got on like the stage, and there had to have been like maybe like, I don't know, like 40, 60 people, I don't know. And I was just like up there, and I was like, oh my God, like everyone that is like legit, like doing like a lot of amazing like art stuff in San Diego is like in this room. And I was just like, and so I like froze for a second, and I was like, I didn't know what to do anymore. And so I just kind of like took it all in, and I was like, all right, it's time to be like a fucking boss bitch right now, and you gotta fucking do this. And so I basically said, why San Diego's awesome, and why we should be basically world design capital for 2024. I believe this was like 2022. And so I had like a whole PowerPoint presentation, and I was just like so, just kind of like deer in the headlights, kind of like, someone help me change the PowerPoint. And so I remember I totally didn't even do the PowerPoint thing, because I was just so like just shocked, and just kind of like, this is so amazing. And like I was just so into like the conversation, like talking about like fabric and design and all that kind of stuff. And it just it just it just kind of left. But it was an amazing experience. And so for me, being able to like now have you know uh, a whole installation in the San Diego airport, because a group of people decided that they were going to pitch this, and and everyone did such an amazing job, and everyone had like these amazing stories, and everyone was like so, you know, just pumped to like support each other. To me, I'm like, we did all that, guys. Like we did that. Like we did that. And like now we get to like, enjoy these fruits of our labor, where it's like we get to see like our work in like spaces that we worked for 2 hours, for 2 years, sorry, for it to like actually come into like life. And so it's like, just remember that it's like you have to be so patient with yourself. You really do have to be so patient with yourself. And you also have to, like, you have to be patient with yourself, but you also have to, you know, um, just know that it's going to happen when it needs to happen. And those are like things that it's like, I always like remember, I'm like, all right, like I'm doing this because of X, Y, and Z, and like this is like why I want to do it. And so it's really awesome because I'm really excited about the airport, because 22 million people travel through that airport every single year. And for them, the committee that actually like approved me as like an artist, for them to actually be able to like see the potential in my work and who I am, all that kind of stuff. I was like pretty darn freaking shocked, because I was like, whoa, I had never, um, like, I guess, quote unquote, won something like this. I feel like I won, and so it's really cool, because it's like in this space, I'm not just representing myself, I'm representing, my family, where we come from. I'm representing, my hometown of San Diego. I'm representing San Diego, and I'm representing basically being able to blur these lines that have kept us apart for a really long time. So it is something where it's like I um am really giddy about it, and I'm excited, because I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, I'm gonna do that, and I'm really excited about it, and I'm very proud of myself for being able to, you know, um, to get into like a space like that. And so you could only imagine how I feel with, being able to be like, wow, I could create anything, and I could, I have like endless like fabric in my studio, and I have all the zippers that you could imagine, and all the snaps, and all the, all the lace, and all the anything that you could imagine. And you want me to fix your pants? Like, it's it's, I don't want to fix your pants. So I think that, like, ways that we could support this kind of movement is like, you know just really asking the questions. Do you offer this kind of service? Like, genuinely look at people's, like, even if you're contacting like an artist to do like a commission or anything like that, like, really study the artist, like really research the artist, and see if it's something that they've done. And if it's something that they haven't done before, it's like, maybe you can ask that question of like, hey, would you be interested in doing something like that? If you've never, seen them do something as small as that, then it's like, you know um you're welcome to ask. But um just know that sometimes it is one of those kind of things where, I'll be completely honest with you guys. It's a little insulting, but it's okay, because, we all like, it's so new. So it's like, it's new for you. It's new for the idea of designing and making everything. So, which is great. But it's always good to just ask the questions. But yeah, this is me just basically ranting on. And, you know, I'm excited because we're halfway through the week. And I feel like my week has been pretty darn amazing. You know, it's like I am looking forward to the end of the week because I don't know why I even say that. So, the end of the week is usually the busiest for me, but I also feel that, you know, I really enjoy when like people come into the studio on weekends and, you know, maybe if I've never met them before, they do like an introduction of who they are. And, you know, it's really awesome to be able to like meet other people that, you know, maybe follow us on Instagram, maybe listen to the podcast, maybe, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so it's really awesome. I feel like Saturdays and Sundays are, you know, I get to connect with a lot of people that like are local, that are visiting and all that kind of stuff. And so I really enjoy it. It makes me feel like, you know, we have visita and you have to saludar everyone. And so I like it. I like getting to meet all you guys. And I enjoy all that kind of stuff because I like people and I like, you know, I like building relationships with people and I like, you know, sitting down and you know, building with people and doing all that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited about it. But um I will say some of the things to take away from this episode is these are important, so you might want to take notes. Just kidding. Um, be very patient with yourself. Like, seriously, like, be patient with yourself. Like, the work that you're doing now, sometimes you won't even see it, you know, until like a year or two from now. And that's totally fine. Like, that's totally fine. Like, do it because you want to do it. Don't do it because it's like, you know, you're comparing yourself with like this or that or any of that kind of stuff. Do it because you want to do it. Like, be patient with yourself. Like, take the time to basically be like, you know what? I'm going to take a nap right now, you know, and do that, you know, like, take the time to count your blessings. Like, seriously, start the day with like gratitude. Like, seriously, like, start the day with gratitude. Like, just name all the things that you're grateful for. Like, I name my cat as like a thing that I'm grateful for because I am grateful for him, you know? And so name all those things, like, because your mind is everything's perspective. So it's like you could go into a space and be like, and if you have a certain perspective, it's gonna be it's like, if especially if it's great perspective where you're like, oh, then it's everything's gonna be great, you know. And it's like, and if you start the day off with gratitude and all the things that you're grateful for, you can't lose. We won't lose. We got this. Like, we're here, we're not gonna go anywhere. We're, you know, we're going to continue to, you know, do all the amazing things, and we're going to continue to do all this, you know, all the work that we've been wanting to do. And so just remember, be patient with yourself, drink water, take deep breaths, and be grateful. This has been a very nice change of pace for the podcast, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know if you guys want me to continue to rant on. All right. I'll see ya.